to start my first design team project for Country Craft Creations, and I'm going to be using the Echo Park Bewitched collection. So if you haven't picked this up yet, head on over to the shop. I have 2 of each of the 12 by 12 papers, and we are going to start with the cut aparts. And I am going to set the others aside. And we are going to cut all the 2x2s off here. And I'm going to use this for my chipboard. I do not use this for my paper. I have a caterpillar off to the side here, so I'm going to cut these 2x2s, at least the long strip first. There we go, that one. Alright, so I should be able to cut the rest with my scissors. Okay, so along with that, I have some lightweight chipboard, and this is just packaging. I wanted to use lighter weight for my first purpose here. The store does have some heavier weight chipboard, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. The other thing I have is my scoreboard. Maybe I should have used my cutter. Alright. And then I have some scrap black cardstock. Whenever I make a mini album and I have leftovers, I save them and put them in a bag for gussets, or I don't know, gussets or hinges or whatever you want to call them. I'm going to use them today to put my cubes together. So I think I'll just go ahead and distress all this in black soot. And I'm going to make 2 cubes exactly the same. So as of right now, I'm just going to make one of them. Hopefully my wrist heals and I won't have to struggle so much when I'm ready to make the second one. So I'm just going to distress all this with my black soot. And I need to get a refill for this black soot. They don't have it at my local store, so I'm going to order it online. You don't know how dry your ink pad is until you use a fresh one. And I have the little tiny, I'm not sure what they're called, the little 1x1 ink pads from Ranger. And I use that for my vintage photo because I was like, man, this is taking forever, and it was so much juicier than the one I'd been using, which is funny because I didn't even know. It's like, that just goes to show you. And for some reason, I have no idea why, I've never bought a refill. Alright, so I got some sponge fell off here. Okay, so I got 6, there's 6 of these, they're 2x2 each, so I'm going to cut my chipboard here, my thin white tip chipboard, to 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. These pieces of packaging measure 6 by 4, so I'll be able to get a few out of here, 4 I think. And it's thin enough that I can just make a couple scores. Or no, I'll only get 2 per, right? Yeah, because it's 2 thin, so I'll keep the extra for now. I don't know that I'll find a purpose for it, but who knows? I always keep it for a while. So you can always, like if this was thick chipboard, and maybe I'll just do it here, you can always just turn it over and score it the other side. But I want 6 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 pieces. And I will show you how easy it is to put these cubes together. Easy for me to say. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So that'll be for just streamlining my process a little bit here. 2 1/4. Move this to 2 1/4. And one, flip it. That 2 1/4. Okay, so we have all these little pieces here that we don't actually need. Alright. And don't worry about the fuzzy parts on the side because we're covering those up. No problem. Okay, so I'm done with my chipboard for this first box here. And I'm done with this. And now I'm going to take my scraps here, and mostly what I do is black, and I just have some long, thin, this is what I normally end up with. And sometimes you can use any color, and sometimes you have to use the color that you need. Depends on if you're hinging in the inside or outside. So each one of these strips I'm going to cut down to 1 inch, just because it's easier that way. Got a small one here. And some of these, I won't need all these, but each one of these big ones I'll get 2 out of. And I think that's enough. Okay, and then we're going to take our scoreboard. Somewhere I have a whole bunch of these pre-scored, but I couldn't find them. So we'll just make some more. I'm going to take my scoreboard and score at 1/2 inch. And you can see it's not exactly 1 inch because I have the caterpillar, and the 1 inch mark is just a little further over, like I'm gonna say like 3/16 or maybe even just an 1/8 inch over. I just line it up with the plastic. I just cut it on the metal, so it's a little off, but it's not gonna matter. Because we're covering up the corners anyways. I'll do one more, and we should be more than sufficient here. Okay, there we go. Okay, super simple, you guys. I'm going to fold these, and you can either use score tape or glue. I haven't actually opened my art glitter glue. It dries clear, so let's get that open. And I just threw that on my floor. It's got a nice small hole, and in addition to that you also have this fine tip that you can add to it, and these are available on Country Craft Creations. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut each one of these to about 2 1/4, and I'm going to need, how many of these do I need? 12? We'll cut 12. We'll see how good my math is, my geometry. How many corners? I want to say corners. They're not really corners, and they're not sides. It has 6 sides. I don't know what I have no idea. I have no idea what to call it. So, but we'll just cut some. At approximately 2 1/4 inches, we can trim it up later. Because they're going to be off a little bit. Okay. I got a few, and we're just going to start building. Glue, whoa, on the inside. Good part about that small tip is that you can kind of regulate your flow, and you don't have to squeeze real hard, which is nice. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make, I'm going to put this on all 4 sides here. Whoops, I missed again. This wrist thingy here is not conducive to flexibility. I feel like I have a, well, I feel like I have a brace on. Okay, here. So the glue's already dry enough to keep it in place. And it's going to be, the glue is going to be reinforced, so you don't even have to put this much glue on. It's just my clumsiness because of the brace. Hard to regulate, that's okay. It's just temporary. I drove to Wisconsin a couple weekends ago, and every time I drive long distances, my carpal tunnel flares up, so you would think that I would wear the brace while I was driving so that, you know, it wouldn't do that. You would think. But I don't think about it until afterwards and it starts hurting. Okay, now I'm going to take each one of these and glue a side on. And probably you could just use like a heavyweight chip or cardstock on this instead of a lightweight chipboard, because it's going to be a cube, and they're really, you know, obviously they're built to be strong. Super simple, you guys, to do this part here. Hopefully the whole thing's super simple. I'm not sure because I haven't designed the rest of it yet. I have ideas in my head. You guys excited for Halloween? Okay, so all we have left is to put the top on. So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 more, which is 12. I was right, you guys. Okay, short interruption there. We had that was the vet calling about my daughter's cat, who had been having some stomach issues, and his blood work came back all good. But what we did was change his food to something that's a little gentler on the stomach, like a hairball control food. Not that he was having hairballs, but he was just getting sick. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And like rationed out his food instead of leaving it down all the time, because that's what she was doing. And it seemed to work. So far so good. Next problem is that he has bad teeth, so he's going to go in and get all his teeth pulled. He's gonna need kitty dentures. No, it's gonna be a little too short, so we'll save that for a different project. Alright, one more to cut up into 4 pieces here. And then these will go on the outside of your block. Your cube. 1. So I was making junk journals, and I don't know how to sew. So I took a really basic how-to from my mom, and I got my grandma's old sewing machine. It's a Merit 2404, super old machine, and I can't get the bobbins threaded right. So if anybody knows how that works, I mean, I did everything I was supposed to. I watched YouTube videos and all that stuff, but it's just not right. Like, it, I'm gonna put the glue on the box this time. So instead of, it didn't thread them, how do I say this? It didn't wrap it all around evenly. And then the bobbin would get caught. And then it wouldn't sew right. So I went out and got a bobbin, Singer bobbin threader, sidewinder is what it's called. I'll let you guys know how that works. Which, I mean, that's okay too, because like you can thread bobbins and not have to unthread your machine, which for someone who sews all the time is probably not a big deal. But for me, threading that machine is like, oh, not again, you know. So that's good. I also got like 6 pre-threaded bobbins because I only had 3. So I won't have to actually use them for a while. But they're white, and I normally use tan thread or beige thread. But sewing on paper seems to be working really great for me. Probably because I've never sewed on fabric before, so I don't even know what the difference is. Okay, guys. So there is... I almost want to leave it open to put something in there. But, nah, we're not going to. Okay, so we're going to put this guy here. Okay, you see how this is coming together? I'm liking the glue. I like the control I have with the tip. I like that it doesn't clog up every time I stop using it for 2 seconds. That's a plus. I'm still going to have pieces of this chipboard showing through, so I'm going to have to make a decision on what I'm going to do with it. I can put the glue on the box too. I hope watching me do this isn't too painful for you guys. Okay, one more gusset thingy. Here we go. Alright, this one is, there we go. See, this one is not glued down. You could also use score tape for this. Okay. Now, so, I mean, it looks like we pretty much got everything covered. I'm liking it. And now, let's finish up the box, and then we may come back and touch it up like right here on this corner. Let's just do it now. I just have my Zig 2A glue pen. You can use a not glue pen, my Zig writer, and just get that corner there. You could also take like pre-made wooden blocks and cover them up. I wanted to do it this way because I wanted the 2x2 images to fit on there. Alright, done with the glue, because we're going to use ATG on this part. And also I'm going to need some thickers with numbers. I'll get those off camera. Okay, so really simple. Each one of these 6 cubes is going to go on here, and it's going to be, I'll get some thickers here, and I'm going to put number sign 0. You know what I'm going to do? That has it has an 1/8 inch border all the way around it. I'm gonna make that smaller. Let's use some of the purple paper and cut 2 1/8 inch squares. Okay, so we're going to cut 6, 2, and then 1/8 inch squares. So out of my 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to use the Authentique purple spectrum paper that is available at countrycraftcreations.com. And I just cut off 2 strips that were 2 1/8 inch each, and I will get 5 out of one of the strips and just 1 out of the other strip. Okay, so now we have another decision to make: polka dots or stripes. Let's go with stripes, because you'll only see a very little. So again, I'm going to distress the 2 1/8 inch square, and I like that better. It's going to do a couple different things. See, this black on that black was kind of non-existent. You couldn't see how it differed. You couldn't see, you know, where it started and where it ended. So, I was saying before, I got sidetracked with the different color here. You could take a wooden block and paint it with 2 different colors and then like distress it. Oops, I just distressed the wrong side of that. Okay. Okay, here we go. There we go. And we'll just put the pumpkin on there. Okay, so I found these stickers, which are American Crafts sprinkles, and they are black glitter. And I don't know that these are still available. They're pretty old, but they do have numbers. You need, for 1 block, you need 1 through 6. one on each side, and then the other block you need 0, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna finish distressing these purple squares. And I'm going to do the other one off camera, I think. I'm biding my time until I get a camcorder because I have a Canon, what is that? No, I have a Sony something or other point and click, and it was a fairly expensive camera, and I thought, I'm missing one. No, I'm not. Okay, there's 2 on there. And I thought that I would get like the best of both worlds and use it for my YouTube videos, but it overheats after every 20 minutes or so. I'll almost put that on there. So it's a bit trying. But you make them both the same, you just put the different numbers on them. Remember 1 through 6 for one of them, and 0, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9 for the other one. I love this cat. And I don't know that it would matter, but I'm putting all the images so that the stripes are going vertically, just so they all are the same. Alright, this one, I think it cut wrong. This one's maybe just, this is purple on purple though, so I'm not horribly concerned about it here. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to it's very humid here today. It's already rained. Here and the boot here. Boo Crew, cute here. And that's on crooked. I'll fix that before it turns super permanent. There we go. And then one more. No, that really matters what way it goes. You're going to flop them all around anyways. Here. Okay. Start with my numbers. And I'm going to reinforce the numbers with a little glue here. Perfect for this tip, this fine tip, and this clear drying. You can put them right in the middle. I am going to try and miss most of the design and put it off to the side. So there's one. And it doesn't matter the configuration. feel free to add flat embellishments to this, whatever you want, but I wouldn't add anything with a lot of bulk. And one more. Here we go. Whoops. This one, 6. Okay, and the next one, like I said, you need 2 cubes. They're both the same, with the exception of the next one's going to have numbers. Let me see where I can put this without totally covering stuff up. Alright, well, I guess I'm covering up part of happy. Okay. The next one, this is 1 through 6. The next one's 0, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. Alright, and like I said, just do the next one, and we'll be back. Let's show you this. That'll dry clear. Okay. Hi everybody. I kind of botched the measurements for some of the treat box here or perpetual calendar holder, so I wanted to I changed it on the fly while I was making the box, but I wanted to do a video that gave you the correct dimensions versus what we have in the beginning. So I will insert this into the video, and just know that later on when we are putting things together, I may have some different measurements, but nothing too drastic. I think you guys can follow it. If you have an issue following that, I'm going to make another one of these for Christmas, so just let me know and I will film that going forward. But these measurements here should give us a better proportioned box, one that has a little bit of room when we put in our blocks, and they'll stick out without this piece here in the back, so that's like optional. So that's upside down. So these will go in and out easier with these dimensions. And then the other thing I had to change were, actually I think that's all I had to change was the dimensions on this, which, you know, obviously changed these dimensions on everything in this little cube. So just know that this part here is the only thing that changed. Everything else is going to be the same dimensions. I didn't change anything on that. Just the only problem area we had is getting these cubes in and out of here without having to push and shove them. And if your little guys are going to be, you know, involved in this, then you definitely want them to be just a little easier to work with. I've been putting these in and out several different times. This is on here crooked. I've been putting these in and out several times, so it's getting a little easier for me because the paper's actually kind of bending and folding so that they do go in and out. Just gonna glue this back on. It was crooked, it was bothering me. Sorry, sidetracked. And then we'll get back, and then we'll get into the measurement changes. And hopefully, you know, you guys can still follow along. If not, like I said, let me know. I will post a new cut video ASAP. Having said that, I'm going to leave the other cut video in because right now I'm just showing you new dimensions. I'm not going to actually cut chipboard. I'm going to speed up the other video where I was cutting the incorrect sizes, just so you guys can see how I cut my chipboard, if you've never watched one of my projects before. Okay, so This part has changed, and the things that have changed, of course, like I said, is here. This is now a 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. It's adding a 1/4 inch to both width and height. What that does is it changes your frame all around here. This was 1 inch before, now it's going to be 3/4. This was 1 inch before, now it's going to be 3/4. So I think I added a 1/2 inch to that. Let's see here. This is, yes, because this was originally 2 1/4. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch extra this way, and that gives you a 1/4 inch less on both top and bottom here. That is going to give you plenty of room. And then we added a 1/4 inch width, which changes these two sides to 3/8 of an inch versus 1/2 inch. So what that's going to do is when you're cutting your gussets, normally we cut them at 1 inch and score them. Let me show you here. You'll know what I'm talking about in the future. But you cut this, what you're going to have to do is you're just going to have to trim it down to a little less than 3/8 of an inch when you're doing these two gussets right here along this side. All the other gussets can be fine. Okay, having said that, the other things that are going to change are going to be this in here. When you cut this out of your chipboard, it's going to be the back of this. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking this off and you're moving it down. Okay, so save that piece. This piece didn't change, just the sides here changed. So, and you need that piece for anything on this project. Now these were originally these were originally 2 1/2 by 5, and these are the sides here, or I guess the top and bottom, and here. Now 2 1/2 was too deep because it made my cubes sink all the way down inside. So I had to add this this strip here. So you don't want to have to add that strip. So we're going to change that from 2 1/2 to just 2. So now it used to be 2 1/2 by 5. Now it's going to be 2 by 5 1/4. And the 5, it used to be 5. So we made this longer, so this has to be longer. And you need 2 of those. One for the top, one for the bottom. So it'll raise that up so you don't have to add that extra thing. And the back, this is the back, it stays the same. Okay, your sides stay the same. Your 3 by 6s times 3 stay the same. And I'll show you where those are. There's 1. Here's 2. And there's 3 by 6s, okay? And then the other thing that changed is here. These used to be 2 by 2 or 2 1/2 by 2 1/4. Sorry, the whiteout, I made the wrong lines. Now they are 2 by 2 3/4, and that is these sides here. So like I said before, the only thing that changed were these dimensions. So it's going to be 2 3/4, which is going to be bigger so that your stuff slides in easier, by 2, so that it brings that up a 1/2 inch so that your cubes don't sink down in there. So those are the changes. I'll just review them again. Your 2 1/2 by 2 1/4 changed to 2 by 2 3/4, and there's 2 of them. And your other change was your cutout here and the dimensions around your box. This box did grow a little bit. I'm sorry. This box grew, but it doesn't have to. I just made it wider because to have this uniform. So it did grow a 1/4 inch this way. It used to be 4.5 by 4 3/4. Now it's square 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So this one just grew not because it had to, but just to keep these lines here straight. This box changed, which of course changed this piece in the middle. These dimensions changed, which are just the dimensions between the two cutouts, and then your side panels changed here, and then your top and bottom piece changed. The two, now they're 2 pieces, 2 by 5 1/4. So not a lot of changes, hopefully not enough to confuse you. But like I said, if you are confused, if you're like, what in the world is she talking about, just let me know. I'll go through and cut another one using the new dimensions and show you guys how it works. So please, please, please let me know, and we'll go forward. I'll show you how I cut my chipboard, and then just keep in mind when I'm putting stuff together that those dimensions did change. Obviously, when I'm putting them together, I have the aha moment that they were wrong to begin with. So I'll tell you that also when I'm putting it together. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, just a real quick, this is how I cut my chipboard. This is a medium weight 12 by 12 chipboard. It's not very heavy duty, and they come in 12 by 12 sheets. I just pulled this out of my stash. What I do is just grid all my dimensions onto the chipboard, and then I use this old Fiskars trimmer to basically score it on one side, flip it over, score it on the other side, and then if you just bend it back and forth, it pretty much comes apart. And I make a mistake and I score it the wrong side on one of these pieces, and it's okay. I think that's the piece there. You see how I scored it a 1/2 inch off? I just put it back in there, score it again, and because it didn't totally detach, and because we're going to have so much structure on this, you're never even going to know that I did that if you make that mistake, if you decide to cut your chipboard this way. It's the easiest way I've found to cut chipboard so far. I don't have a big chipboard trimmer. It may be in the future, but right now we're not going to invest in that quite yet. So I just wanted to say this is how I cut my chipboard, and it works well for me, and it's relatively inexpensive. I actually had this trimmer before I had my Caterpillar Pro, which I use now for all of my cardstock. So because I was tired of buying blades for my paper trimmer. So if you're curious about the Caterpillar Pro, I really like it. So it has its advantages and disadvantages. So anyways, just thought I'd give you guys that little holler, and stay tuned for the rest of the build. And I'm extremely sorry about any confusion that I may have caused, but it is a prototype, and I just made mistakes. So alrighty, just keep watching, and we'll see the rest of this tutorial together. Okay guys, so what you see me doing now is I'm taking all the chipboard that is going to show, so it's going to be a chipboard that's not covered with gussets, and I am taking a black permanent marker and I am just making those black and making the corners black so that it doesn't stick out as a craft colored chipboard. So if you just follow the pieces, for the most part, if you follow the pieces that I have marked on, you will have covered everything that won't get covered in with the paper. So, and I just had my little sketch out there so I could tell what needed covered and what didn't. So you see me doing some hand gestures there. So my video editing software doesn't like anything longer than an hour, so I'm actually going to stop this tutorial here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this one up early because it concludes the cutting of the chipboard. So having said that, thank you for watching and stay tuned for part 2, and we'll see you next time. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Country Craft Creations, and look for all the links to the important stuff in the comments below, in the description below. Thank you all, and have a great day.